everyone! Welcome to this video. As you can see, this is a bit different. Hello from the talking hands. I actually tried something new this week because I was drawing something and I was a bit frustrated, so I needed to try a new medium. That sometimes helps when I'm in a rut or a bit frustrated or bored or whatever, to try something new. And I recently discovered that I had a really old linoleum plate lying around. I bought this years ago, many years ago. Like, it must be, how old could it be? It's maybe around 10 years even, so it's really, really old. And I decided, because I don't like to throw away things, that I wanted to make something with this. I had also bought these carving tools, just a very basic set, nothing fancy. And so I thought, if I have them, why don't I just try it out and see what happens? What I did not know was that linoleum actually has an expiry date, so to say, so it hardens over time. And since this is so old, it was not a breeze to work with. It is still a bit bendable, but it starts to break if I try to bend it more than this. And it, of course, the softer it is and the more fresh it is, the better you can carve without breaking your hands. So despite all of that, I still wanted to do it, but I didn't film the process, at least not all of it, because it was just a pain to deal with, and I was hunched over and in a weird position, so it made it hard to film everything. But I still made a few small carvings, and for me, these are actually supposed to be little stickers, so I'm not trying to make a huge masterpiece of art or anything. I just want them to be stickers for gift wrapping, and most of these I had actually drawn years ago when I bought this. I had drawn them on the linoleum and even started carving the outer edge. So I had to stick with what I had because they were partially carved already, and that's why the anatomy is off on some of these, like this deer. I don't know, like 10 years ago, I wasn't paying much attention to anatomy. I will turn on the lights here because I can see that it's a bit dark on my camera. This better? Yeah, well, this deer looks a bit unrealistic and anatomically off. I could just say, this is my style, right? This is all on purpose, but no, the truth is that I probably just did not put too much effort into this back then, but I still wanted to give it a try and see how it works anyway. Here I made the typical beginner mistake, and it's so stupid of me because theoretically I know that you're supposed to do writing to make a mirror image on the linoleum, because of course when you print it, it's going to be the other way around. It's going to be the mirror image, and I absolutely wrote thank you the correct way, which I'm not supposed to do because I will not be able to read this afterwards. So yeah, stupid of me. I was in a hurry, but you learn. And like I said, these are just trials. I just want to see how they will look, and hopefully with the next one I will do better. So I ordered this roller today, also nothing fancy. I heard that, or I read that it's actually better to use a softer roller if you want a more even distribution of your ink. But since I'm a beginner and I really don't know how often I will be doing this, I didn't want to spend that much money, and I bought a really simple rubber one. So we'll see how that goes. I bought this ink, and I didn't realize that relief printing actually had special ink. So this is very, I guess, oily and pudding-like in consistency, and you can't just use anything you have at home. So I had to buy something. And this is plenty. I don't think I'll be using much more than black anyway, so we will see how this goes. This is water-based because I thought it would be easier to clean off my utensils. But if you buy oil-based, it is possible that you might get a better result. Really depends on how professional you're trying to be with all of this, and since I'm just trying this out, I think it'll be good enough for me, but we will see about that. I also got these sheets, and I thought about getting regular tan linoleum, like the artist's traditional quality. Of course, this time making sure that it's fresh and hasn't been lying around that long, so it would be nicer to deal with. But then I saw that SD, this brand, had a soft version. I'm not a fan of the blue stuff. I thought that if I carved on white, it would be easier for me to see the design, especially if I did a layer of black on top and then started carving. I would see exactly how it would look like in print, because as you probably know, the stuff that you carve out is actually the white and the negative space that is not going to show up when you print. And so I thought having white could be really beneficial, but we'll see. Now this is called soft, and it is quite pliable at room temperature, but touching this, I am not sure it's as soft as I hoped it would be. I was kind of hoping more for an eraser kind of softness, and this is not the case, so I guess I will try this for now. And the reason why I got it is I was scared that I wouldn't have the time to carve my linoleum right away, and it would end up sitting in my closet or drawer for another few years and then harden up, and then I would have to toss it or have this painful experience of carving into this solid stuff. So I thought this one is not going to change over time, and I can use it even in a few years, and this is why I decided to choose this. But I have the feeling that I'm not going to be as happy with it as I would be with the traditional linoleum. We will see about that. So let's just take it out and take a look at it. Okay, it is very pliable. There are 2 sheets in there. When you take them individually, they are quite soft, but the structure in itself, like the surface, does have some hardness to it. I can try just taking off one corner to try it out. Did anything happen there? Yeah, it is soft. It should be nice to carve. Now, the other disadvantage of this one compared to the tan one is that this one will snap, meaning that you can dig your tool in and just pull it off like that, and it will break at this point. Whereas this one, you have to go in and out, and you won't have that sharp edge. You will have a pointed edge with this V-shaped tool. I'm not sure if you really understand what I'm trying to explain here, but there are a lot of YouTube videos about Linocut that you can watch, and since I'm no expert, I am not pretending to be the one to teach you. But another thing that I did not know about linoleum was that it helps if you heat it up before you use it. Some people sit on it, some people put it on the radiator or use their hair dryer. Since I never did this in school, I know most people have tried this in school sometime as children, and I never have for some strange reason. That was not in our curriculum. I didn't know that, but it's supposed to make carving a little bit easier, unless you have something really, really old like mine. And what I can tell you that it's addictive. It's a lot of fun. I actually really like this. I mean, it's not comparable to watercolor, but if you want to do something more graphic, I don't know, I'm somebody who also likes to sculpt, and so this act of working with your hands and carving things out and thinking about where white and black will be, I thought it was really fun. I enjoyed it, and I see myself doing that more often because I never really want to spend money on stickers. not stickers, on stamps, because they don't have my design anyway, and why would I do that if I can create my own? So we'll see how much I will do with this. But now to the fun part, and I'm excited about this because I will try to print for the first time, and I really hope this works out. There's a lot of dust here from the linoleum that I carved still, even though I tried to clean it, but obviously I didn't clean it well enough. So I have this glass, it's actually a cutting board that I use as an oil paint palette. And I'm just going to use this because if it gets ruined, it's not much of a big deal. And I'm just going to use, for trying this, I'm just going to use really simple craft paper, cheap wrapping paper. First of all, because I like it, I like the color, and then these are just leftovers from my sewing pattern making. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use those. And I also have this little bit of thicker craft paper, but I read that it's actually easier to use thinner paper or with lower GSM, lower weight paper than the thicker ones. For, I guess, because it's easier to just to press it onto the ink or something like that. We will try, but I've heard that people use the heavier watercolor paper as well for this. We'll see. Now I just remembered that I forgot to get a spoon to press the paper onto the linoleum. Now you can do it both ways. You can press the linoleum onto the paper or the other way around. And I'm going to quickly get a spoon, and then we'll start and see how this goes. So one more thing I want to tell you is, because I'm not showing you the carving process in itself, is that when you draw a motif for this and you want to transfer it onto the linoleum, in my case I had drawn these freehand back then, but if you want to make something a bit more sophisticated and you really want to make sure that you like the result, it makes sense to draw it on paper first or draw it digitally and then transfer it. So other than making sure that it's the mirror image, you have to pay attention to your blacks and your whites, because this is very binary. Either it shows up or it doesn't show up. And as soon as you carve something away, it means it's not really going to show on your paper. And what's gone is gone. You can't really fix that. So try to mark your areas that are supposed to be black, and those are the areas that you will not touch. You will leave them. And those that are supposed to be white, meaning you will clear those out or carve those areas out. And there may be some residue of pattern from your carving, what's very characteristic of lino print, and you might like that or might not like that. So you're gonna have to figure out how much to carve away from this. And if you want some gray tones in between, there is no real gray in linoleum, there's only black and white. But what you can do is use patterns, like use hatching, or I don't know, this deer. I think I'm going to take away the antlers, because antlers don't face that way, they're supposed to face the back, so I might fix this. But this deer has a few hairs, I guess strands of fur that you can see, or on these mushrooms there's a little bit of shading and structure. So this is kind of going to substitute for your gray. But I would recommend just try a little piece at a time, see how it goes. Don't do as I did and make these many at once. I would probably do it differently now if I had not bought it and started working on it back then. And now we'll get to the fun part. So I read that you're not supposed to use too much ink here. So I'm going to start slowly and put just a little dollop on here and see if I can spread it evenly. And I also read that you're not supposed to spread it out much further than just a square that's as long and as wide as your roller. So let's see how that works. And it seems to be very important is that you get this even, and I'm already having trouble getting it to do that. I don't know if it's my cutting board or if it's this roller. But this is an art in itself, I think, to get this ink to be one even nice layer. I think you have to press a little more. Just go over it a few times. Okay. And now my instinct is really to grab one of this and use this like a stamping cushion. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use my roller and see how that works. But I feel that my roller isn't equally coated, like evenly coated, and that's kind of bummed out by that. That's not supposed to happen. Let's press a bit harder to make sure. See, this area doesn't seem coated. I bought this on Amazon, and it was Amazon's choice, so it wasn't very expensive, but it had good reviews, so I thought for my purposes it will do. But maybe I made a mistake there. I don't know. Let's see. Let's try something small like this owl. I have no idea if I'm doing this right. Okay, here's my owl. I hope that this is enough ink. Now let's get my paper. And, oh, right, I want to lay the paper on top of the owl. Try not to move this and use the spoon to press everything down. Now I can already tell that it's kind of hard to not have the paper moving around, so I think the next time I'll do it the other way around and just place the heavier carving on top of the paper. Also, I don't know where the beginning of the owl is, so I'm kind of eyeballing it. Should I look at it? Is that enough? Let's try. Yay, we have an owl. I'm not unhappy. It looks fun. I don't mind that it's not perfect because I feel that it gives it character. It looks handmade and it looks imperfect, and I kind of like that. So I think I'm gonna try the other stamps. The paper this way, and let's see how far I can go with this ink. I kind of regret not buying dark brown now that I see it on the craft paper. I think I would really like this in dark brown, and this is the same regret I had with my regular ink for watercolor, because I really like brown outlines. They're a bit softer than the black, and I thought about getting brown ink for relief printing, but I wasn't sure how that would look because this is the classic and what you see everywhere. But now that I see it, I think brown would look really good on craft paper. Anyways, let's just keep going. Now this one looks funny, but this is just supposed to be polka dots or snow or something like that. And I could use it underneath some of my animals maybe. And now you can tell that some of the carving around the dots is visible. Like you can see this chatter and noise, which is characteristic of Linocut. Oops. I'm not sure if I like it or not. If I don't like it, I will just remove those, go back in with my carving tool. So let's put some black snow on here. If I had multiple colors, I'd probably use white now. Oh, I'm supposed to use the spoon. Okay, it's not very dark, so maybe I will have to use more ink. Or maybe I have to press harder, I'm not sure, but I think I pressed pretty hard all over the thing. And I think I will remove those extra little bits around the snowflakes just to really make it look like snowflakes. I'm not sure, I'll think about it. Now let me try these, because this is actually something that I drew only yesterday. So it's not one of my old ugly drawings. It's something that I put a little bit more thought into and that has a bit of pattern. Linocut is amazing for pattern. If you like pattern, do Linocut because you can go crazy with it and do all sorts of things. And that's really pretty much the only thing you can do with Linocut, because you can't really use darkness or grayscale or anything like that. So let's try and do this newer and more complex one. Mushrooms. Make sure that everything is coated. I already like the look of this, but maybe it's just because I like mushrooms. Not the kind that you're thinking of right now. And put it here. Use the spoon. Now there is a special tool for pressing down. I don't remember the name of it, but it's basically a weight to press down evenly. But when I start out with something, I'm not a fan of spending too much money because I don't know how long I will stick with it, and I have so many interests and hobbies. If I went on spending all of my money on everything I do, I would be very, very poor. So this will do for now. And moment of truth, ta-da! In my opinion, it could be a bit darker. And this could speak for the black ink, because if I had used brown, then it would probably be even less visible. Still not really sure about this chatter in the background. Usually I do like it, but in some cases, like right on top of the mushrooms, it's a bit distracting because I would want to see the outline more clearly. But since I can see it on here as well, I will be able to fix this quite easily. But in general, like for decorating wrapping paper and things like that, I like it. I think I am going to use more ink for now, just to see if that'll make my print darker in general and make it show up better. And I'm really curious as to how this will print on fabric, but I think for fabric I'm going to need extra fabric paint, or maybe a medium. I know that there is a fabric medium that you can use with your regular paints, but I'm not sure if it will work in this case and if I'll be able to wash it. Okay, this may be a bit too much. What would happen if I just turned my stamp upside down and just placed it on my ink without using the roller? Let's do the fox. Let's try that. Okay, let's see if this is coated. Oh, it's not really evenly coated. I will have to use the roller after all. Okay, this makes it a bit darker. And now you can do a lino print with more than one color, and you can do it in one go, meaning that I think it would work better if you had bigger motifs, but you can put some red ink here, green ink here, whatever, or you can do it in several steps, that the first layer is black and the second is red, or whatever colors you want. But I actually really like the monochromatic stuff as well, so. Oh, my fox. It's not very visible. I was hoping for something darker, and I'm not sure why it turned out like that. Let's try again. Maybe I have to press down better with my roller. Or maybe I caught a part of my roller that was not coated very well. So let's do it a couple of times. And try this again. Oh, I didn't use my spoon. Maybe that was that. That could be the reason. I guess you can press down better with your spoon. Getting warm. Like, this is a little bit of physical effort, but I like it. And speaking of physical effort, I will show you what I did during my carving so it wouldn't be too hard on my hand. Let's just check out this fox first. Ah, better. Do use the spoon. Definitely use the spoon. Pressing down with your fingers is not enough. Cool. Okay, it's a very simple motif, but that's okay. Now what I want to show you, let's see if I can find a scrap piece. Well, not really. I'll just show you like this. So when you carve away, you're usually using your dominant hand, right? So one thing you have to pay attention to first is that you don't have your fingers in front of your blade or your carving tool, because you could slip. I mean, it hasn't happened to me yet, but theoretically you could slip and hurt yourself. So keep your hand behind. And instinctively, what you want to do is just use your right hand, if that's your dominant hand, or your left hand, and do this, right? But this gets really tiring on your wrists really quickly. And so what I did was I used both hands at the same time. And this is tricky because you want to hold your linoleum at the same time. So if you have a big sheet, it may not be that much of a problem. Put something underneath that will prevent it sliding around too much. Maybe like a rubber mat or something like that. And then you can use 1 or 2 fingers of your non-dominant hand, but still hold the tip, or this part on top of the tip, with 2 other fingers, and use your dominant hand further to the back, just to steer. And don't steer with your wrist, but steer from your elbow. And you can actually carve like this, and the amount of strain will be spread, I guess, over both hands, and you won't have that much pain in your dominant hand, because you will need it during the day for other things like drawing or cooking or whatever you do. And your non-dominant hand you will probably not use as much. And actually, after I started doing this, I didn't feel anything at all, except maybe my shoulder, but that may be due to the fact that my linoleum was really hard. yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this makes you want to try Linocut yourself, or printing in general. I mean, there are several ways to print stuff. This was the first time I did not do a voiceover, so this was new for me, and I'm sorry if my babbling was a bit incoherent and weird. But I might do this again sometimes, just to show you things in live speed, like the normal speed that I would do it, so you get a realistic feel for how long this takes. And if you want to make a more elaborate lino cut, like if you wanted to carve this entire thing, of course, depending on how detailed you're going to work, I would definitely plan for a day or so. So take your time. It's easier to make mistakes when you're rushing things, and like I said, once you've cut something away, you've cut it away and you can't really save it. So take your time, try it out, and I think even if these aren't perfect, like for my private use or for just printing on wrapping paper or something like that, they're totally fine. And I may not sell works of art doing this, but it's fun and you can reuse it. And yeah, I highly recommend, definitely. So I hope to see you next week. Who knows what I'll be doing then? But until then, have a wonderful week and stay creative. Bye bye.